it onto this computer. Give me 1 second. So, well, since everything we're doing today is in Runestone, yes. I say I'm going to go through and show how to use it. So, so first thing you're going to want to do is hit sign up. If you haven't already, please use put in your name that's listed under Canvas over here or your TU email over here. And then your username can be whatever. If you clicked on it at the right time or the wrong time at some point, you would have automatically had an account generated. If you forget your password, I can actually get it reset to you, but doing that right now would be a bit of a pain. So if that happened, you might be better off just making a new account and having me delete the old one, depending, or going and doing this later when we can get that sorted out. But anyway, yes, you can use your own personal email so long as you use the name that matches what you have on Canvas. And here's why. Okay, here's why. I have nothing over here actually talks to Canvas. Okay, so I have to download the gradebook separately, and I have a script that runs that basically combines the two CSV files that I download into one CSV file, so that I can so I don't have to basically copy all over the grades one by one. But if you don't have if your name doesn't match, or you don't have a temp, or you don't use your TU email address, those are the two things I'm going to be able to look for. Excellent question. So will the exams be on Runestone or just Canvas? Yes. Actually, it really depends. For the first quizzes, the first couple of quizzes will be the way that I did them on the previous semesters, which will essentially be take-home quizzes done by, and I will go into that in a bit. So your first quiz will be next week. It will be done at your own leisure. So if you accidentally made 2 accounts on Runestone, send me an email after class and tell me which one you want me to delete. Okay, but the quiz will be at least the first quiz or 2 will be at home. I was thinking about it, and I decided on what I'm going to do is that since I couldn't decide between to do proctored exams and unproctored, that will, at least for the first couple of weeks, we can have some quiz. So the course name is, let's see, it should be Fall 2021 Rosen. So if I log in, right, it's this one, Fall 2021 Rosen. That is the course name that you want to sign up with. So no, I have no requirements for the username. What matters is for your first name, last name, or email, it has to, your first name and last name have to match what's on Canvas, or your email has to match what's on Canvas. So I don't care what your username is. Anyway, if you do it incorrectly, the only consequences that are going to happen is that when I say grades have been finally migrated over to Canvas, you're going to be like, I have a bunch of zeros, and then you're going to have to tell me, and then we're going to have to dig down and make sure that to figure out why that happened, and which will take like 5 minutes. So
I'm sorry, wait. So where it says course name, we just type in Fall 2021 Rosen.
Yep, Fall 2021 Rosen.
Okay, so all one word.
Yep. That's it. Okay, once we're there and logged in, let's see. As far as I can delete your old account later. Okay, just you can create a new account and I can delete the old one later. But for right now, I have a feeling that if I do it for one person, I'm going to be doing it for 50 people and we're not going to get anywhere. So, And it's not too hard to follow along by yourself. And you can always redo it later. Let me see. But, and also when I reset somebody's password, I have to choose what I reset it to. So, you know, that, so I'd have to communicate with you to do that. Okay. All right. So
sorry, Professor, but when you click on when you do like the chapter and you do check me versus compare me, and it says like you have X% correct for all questions, do we get graded on that, or is it more of a completion thing?
that will be, it's telling you what your grade will be when I run the grader.
Oh God. So like, if it's like, so whatever, like when you do the compare me, that percentage is going to be your grade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can look at it. I can, we can, if you're having issues, I can take a look at it later. Okay.
Sure. Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So hopefully we've all got an account set up. All right. So now let's take a look at our first project, which is a preview of the end goal. The idea here is basically we aren't really trying to, you know, a lot of you, I know I throw a lot at you and you seem worried that a lot of people know a lot more than you do. That's totally normal, especially if you're coming into this blind. That's perfectly all right. They make the comparison here that you're not expected to sit down at a piano for the first time and play Beethoven Sonata number 23. You have to work up there with a lot of practice, and with coding, that's the same. But yeah, and they point out some really important things in this, which is that the text editor can create code can seem primitive as it lacks any kind of formatting. We do syntax highlighting though, which helps us kind of zero in on what we're seeing. And so computers have no intelligence. They don't do what you mean to do. They do exactly what you tell them. So let's take a look at this over here. This is an example of a Python program just built into the book. Okay. And there's a lot of cool things that are done right over here. So you may or may not be up. So it says you may or may not be able to look at the code and figure out what it does, but this is definitely an example of something you'll be able to do by the end of the course. So if we look over here, first off, we see that there's line numbers listed on the left. Now you can enable that on idle, but by default, idle kind of has it like right over here. Like that tells you what the line number is. And you may or may not like that, but you can also go into and configure idle to put lines on the left side. That can make it easier to navigate your code. But anyway, and we see here that we've got basically a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of white space, as we call it. In other words, a lot of spaces, tabs, and blank lines. Now, Python's is unique among programming languages, or at least it was when it came out, that it cares about white space. So indentation matters in Python. And that's a kind of a unique thing. So we'll get into that later, but over here we see import image. What does that even mean? Definitely. Process 11. IMG. And now we over here and we get into line 4 and we see something where it has like a hashtag in front of it. Hashtag get. Actually, what this is what I've mentioned a couple times last lecture. That's what we call a comment. What is a comment? So all of this is instructions to the Python interpreter. The Python interpreter, basically what it does is that it's like an interpreter at the UN. It looks at everything line by line and translates it line by line into instructions that your computer can understand, right? Because we've tried programming in ones and zeros. It's horrible. It takes forever. So what can't you see? Oh no, I didn't have idle open. I just simply circled over here. That's relatively where it would be. My bad. Sorry for not clarifying. I do not currently have idle open. All right, so so it's going through line by line and interpreting all instructions. What a comment is that it's any line that starts with the pound sign or the hash mark, right? And what this is saying is that to the computer is that anything you see after this symbol, ignore it. It's not an instruction. That's for humans only. Okay, so comments are over here. So when you cite things in code, right, that you would put it in a comment after that symbol, and basically the computer would ignore that and know that's just for humans. So we have a bunch of things going on here. Now, it's honestly pretty complex, but what we can do over here is run it right here in our in this, and we see that it's actually executing. And would you look at that? It is turning this picture from a color picture into a black and white picture. And that's what this code is telling it to do. Now, what it's doing over here is the way it's doing that is that it's looking at every row and column combination in here, and it's getting a pixel. What is a pixel? It's a picture element, essentially. So if you get really close and uncomfortably close to your screen right now, depending on your resolution, right? If you're on one of those really high-end Macs with the Retina display, you may not be able to see it. But if you're sitting on a desktop monitor, right, you may be able to see that basically your screen is separated into little squares. Okay, those are pixels, little boxes. Everything basically you see is defined by switching each of those squares to a certain color. The more of those boxes you have, the more detailed the picture can be. However, when you're sitting this far away from a computer, it doesn't necessarily matter how many pixels you have, because the density of your pixels doesn't really matter. It's like when you're sitting far away, it's all a combination of how far away you are from the screen, how big the screen is, how many pixels there are. So how do I change what the picture is turning black and white? Excellent question. So over here is that so what this is over here from line 33 to 27 is what we call a function or procedure in some languages. We'll be learning how to do that, learn how to do those in the next couple of weeks. But basically what it is that part of programming is adding new actions to the language. And essentially this is a language and we're adding new verbs to it. And this defines how that verb works. Okay. So that's what def means, define function, process 11. And so over here, no, the comment does not have to be in a line by itself. I could put a comment right here and it would work just as well.
What is the use of comments? Like, why do we put them in at all?
Because there are some pieces of mathematics that we sometimes do that are completely look terrible to look at, and need to and help explain. Basically, the point of comments is that okay, you're a smart man, but the person who wrote the code, but you who wrote the code 3 weeks ago, he was an insane moron working off of no sleep and very little caffeine. You have no idea what he was doing. So that's the point of comments. It's because you're good, but the guy who was coding a while ago, the guy who did that code a bit ago, yeah, he must have been crazy because I have no idea what he was doing. Is there a way to comment blocks? Yes, but I will get into that later.
So it's almost just like sticky notes to stay organized when you're going back to the code after you've already finished it?
Yes, or while you're writing it, to say, this is what I'm, or even for the planning out phase. Comments are very useful. They are very useful because they help you kind of figure out what a block is what the code is doing, not necessarily without necessarily having to read it all. So what it does over here from 29 is that it's grabbing an image. It's doing something called set delay. I have no idea what that does. I really don't. I'd have to look up the documentation. One of the things you're going to realize is I don't know everything, but I know that how I would go and look it up. It creates a window that's the same size as this. And then it says, I'm going to draw it. And then I'm going to execute this process over the image. And this process is what turns it black and white. All right. So, yeah, and here's what it says is what it does. It gets the width and height of the image, and then it takes every pixel. And what it does is, going back to the pixels, because I was speaking about that, is that pixels, the way it displays a color is that it defines color as a combination of red, green, and blue. Color is actually really complicated, but for right now, just assume that it's made up of red, some combination of red, green, and blue. Then it averages them out and figures out whether it should be black or white. You just add a hashtag to the front. You'll see more about how to do comments later, okay? So now let's take a look at what you'll often see over here. Show code. So over here, we have a bunch of functions. In fact, we have 10 of them, 10 different procedures, 10 processes as they call them. All right. So this editor had a bunch of them. And the way I opened that is that right now it says save and run, show code, share code. The way I access this is I hit show code. Okay. And then there's the code. And now, and I can just save and run it. And believe it or not, it's not going to do anything. And the reason it doesn't do anything is that basically is that all we're doing in here is defining a bunch of stuff. We don't even need to run it, I don't think. So we're going to be experimenting on these two pictures, the yawning squirrel.jpg and the Luther Bell pic.jpg. They're stored on Runestone, so there's no need to upload them. It's just like already there. So what we're going to do is that we are going to experiment and find out which of these processes go into which. So let's take a look at and we're going to be using this box of code over here. So for instance, here is original. I am right here. I scrolled. So from the top, I'm scrolling down. This is from project 1, right? Right. And if you're lost on project 1, there it is. I've linked you to it in chat. Okay, I've scrolled down. Okay. We have all this code. I don't need to see it all because we're going to figure out what each of those do by kind of experimenting. So here is some text for you to modify. Okay. So original picture is equal to image.image yawning squirrel. Okay, that loads up yawning squirrel.jpg, right? Everybody see that one? It loads it into the code specifically. Then it says final is equal to process 10 original, and then new win is equal to this window and draw it. So if I run it, so if I hit save and run, we come up with a really demonic looking squirrel. Okay. But if instead I say process 2, everybody see what I just did? I changed process 10 to process 2. Remember up here we had, and I just kind of skipped, we kind of glanced at it, right? We have 10 different processes, process 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Okay. Process 2, on the other hand, if I run it, comes out with this effect. So what your goal is is to basically drag and drop and figure out which of these go to which. So which of these 10 things are which one? Does that make sense to everybody? So for instance, I don't see one that basically turned it demonic. This is not a quiz. This is an active learning exercise. So it's intended to do this right now because I'm going to have you do it right now. And then we're going to continue. Now, by the way, notice process 5, that process 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. They all are process something, and then in parentheses, then it has parentheses and has IMG. Everybody see? It's due today. Don't worry about this. You're doing it in class.
By the way, process 2 is the adds Clarendon type effect, makes darker and lights lighter.
Yep. So what we're going to want to do is that if you haven't opened this up on your laptop yet, then I just dropped the link again in chat. And you want to do this on your own computer. Okay. And so I will give you guys some time to do this, or guys and gals and folks. So let's go ahead and to make this a bit fun, I will split you out into breakout rooms in just a second. My only thing I want to mention is that notice that process 5, it takes IMG and number. So for that, we would say process 5. And because it takes it says it takes 2 things, an image and a number. Well, this is original is the original image and a number. So 7, I don't know, save and run it. Okay. And then this will, and then process 6 takes 2 numbers. Okay. So if you don't give it those numbers, it will yell at you like this. Oh, yes, they were yelling at me. Missing one required argument. Don't worry about that. If you get one of those, it's not broken. You just have to go and fix it. Like you didn't permanently break the page. So let's go ahead and work on trying to figure out those effects. And then we will come back and share our results. Okay. So I figure maybe 10 minutes is good for this. So yeah, it can be any number. So let me go ahead and set up breakout rooms. So where is that setting? Stop sharing. I know where that is. Over here, breakout rooms. There we go. And do you all want me to just throw you into any? You want me to just open up breakout rooms for you to choose them, or do you want me to just sort you into rooms automatically?
Go random.
Let's do chance.
All right, random chance. Let's see, 20 should be in. Let's see, we've got what, 106. How many people do we have?
Can we do like
158.
16
So
group
20
of 10?
sounds great. So 20 sounds great. All right, I'm creating a bunch. I'm creating. Oh, that's way too many. Recreate. There we go. 40 rooms. All right. And
Yeah.
feel free to share your screens and work with everybody else. And to share your answers for this. I'll call you all back in about 5-10 minutes. Hi there. I chose
Hey.
a room to randomly join. So, all right. So any questions now that we're in a smaller group?
Wait, let me
I
just
don't
double
think
check
so.
something. Just want to double check something. I'm not really sure what darkens darker and lightens lighten parts means.
It makes
So
it makes the blackers black and the whites whiter. Does that make sense? It makes the brighter parts brighter and the darker parts more dark. So it adds a bit more drama to it, I think is a good way to say it.
oh. Oh, okay.
If I press check me with it now, can I go back and change it or no?
Yes. Yes, these are
Okay.
unlimited attempts. Because I'm a big believer in exercises like this, you know, I mean, come on, it's super easy to also accidentally drag something into the wrong place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay, I
true.
got him right.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna jump to a different room and see if people are panicking there.
Mhm.
Condor calls for aid. So,
No.
what's up?
Hi, Professor. Can you enable screen sharing, please?
Is it not? Oh,
No.
there we go. Got it.
And also, is it possible for you to enable us to DM each other on the chat?
Is that not the case? Okay.
No.
Bum.
If you go to chat, there should be like something.
Chat. Yeah, let me see. Who can see your messages? Recording on. Save chat. No. I don't know if I can really change it at the moment. I think it might be one of those things I have to change afterward. I'm not sure.
Okay. Maybe, yeah, it might be. You might be right.
I can just check audios. Chat. Yeah, no. Not seeing it over here in the chat, but cool.
Yeah, it might just have to be once we end. But while you're here, do you mind if I show you this real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
So this is what I was talking about. So if you see how like for the what is an algorithm, and it says compare me and that's a score. Is that
Yeah.
score anything?
Probably not. I've never actually seen
Okay.
that.
What?
I've never actually seen that distribution of answers.
Oh, okay. Good, because otherwise I
No, so if you go back to your
wouldn't be doing well.
for this
Um,
for
so you see
the
this
reading,
then.
it's almost always about completion. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's the self grade that would tell you. So if
So
you're self
this is what you,
that's what I would care about. And even if you get a poor score on something,
mhm.
if you fix it, I'll catch it next time I run the grader. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it's just this. So over here, you'll just see what you're looking for is this is done.
Yeah. All right. I got to jump to another room.
This is all green.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
I have a
Yeah, I don't have one.
What's up?
Hi, so I think I like clicked on the link to make an account when it just like automatically logs me in. So
Okay.
I like did the whole reading and then now it's asking me to like do my username and password, so I have no way of getting back in.
All right. So give me a second. I think I can try and help
Okay.
you with that. Because if you have an account, I can, and my plan is I can help students after class with this, but because I didn't want to delay class necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay, so you are Kayla, right? Is that so? Let me go ahead and Control F, Kayla. No, that's click on the window, hit Control F, type in Kayla. Okay, so I see you right now. Okay, and I see you your username is TUO418 So in other words, your TU email, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna reset your password for you right now. Okay.
Okay.
And that means that I am actually changing what your password is on my side.
Okay.
Okay. So I've just changed it. And let me go ahead and tell you what it is. All right, I've just sent you the password.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Does anybody else need that?
I just have a question.
Sure.
I'm having I got to the 5th one and I'm having like an error.
Yep. Share screen for a bit.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
It
Yeah. So
says,
you need to put in a number is what it's saying for number 5. So scroll up. So you need original, comma. So if you scroll down, actually for a second, scroll down to like where the mix and match is. Notice that number 5 and number 6, they require that one requires a number.
oh, okay.
And
So
the
I
other
just-
one requires 2 numbers. So you want to do original and then comma a number.
Do I just type number?
No, I know. It means literally it wants a number.
Like 5?
Yep.
Or just,
Yeah, go ahead and try 5.
okay.
And now try 2.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. If you see that bar, by the way, on top next by the save and run, that is your history bar. So it saves every single time you hit run. You can kind of see you can always reset your code if you mess it up horribly.
Okay, so that means it rotates by multiple.
Yep.
Okay, all right,
Exactly.
sorry, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just jump into a different room unless anybody else needs anything. Oh, somebody else asked for help. I guess somebody put up the bat signal.
Hi.
No worries.
So I have a quick question. So without knowing, I already did a bunch of this thing already. I just sort of clicked the site. I did the work. I did the chapter 1 stuff. I'm at the end of chapter 1. It's section 1.12, the chapter assignment.
Yeah.
Can
So
I just-
only do the exercise. So share your screen for a second.
Okay. Yeah. Give me one sec. Share screen. And okay.
Oh yeah. So scroll up. So you don't want to be in here because those are all the exercises. And for some, I mentioned it very briefly on Tuesday, but you may not have been able to process it because you had no idea what I was talking about. That what happened is that, well, no, it's fine. You're not the only one who's asked this. Like, so like, I mean, a lot of other people. So everything that happened over here is basically people, because you can contribute your own questions to the textbook. When people were testing it out, a lot of them accidentally stuffed their questions in chapter 1.
Oh, so this is like not actually something I should be doing at all.
Right. So what you want to do is hit the button, hit the person icon on the top right, the outline of the person. Okay. Go to assignments. And then chapter 1 exercises. Now, by the way, this is linked with what you've done, by the way. So if you scroll down, so scroll up now, right? See that one's already answered because you answered it on the previous page. Right. And now if you go down to the other one, go further down to that, hit load history, which is the code you've done, right? So,
then-
so,
yeah.
so, when I ask you to do so when I talk about readings and stuff, like,
Mhm.
you only want to do the ones listed on assignments, and I will link you to those in the module overviews. So that, because I'm given like a giant ton of exercises that other people contributed, and some which I
I understand. Oh, I don't know if you're speaking, you cut out, or maybe you stopped speaking, sorry.
no, I just stopped.
Okay,
So you only need to do the ones that I assign you. Okay. And right now, all I'm trying to do is get people familiarized with Runestone.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's a weird process to use a textbook that's not integrated with, to have to use multiple sites and stuff. But I keep saying that the students will probably put up with it because they don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Two more questions though. So one, I noticed that when I was going through the reading, sometimes these things wouldn't save.
Interesting.
Oh,
If you
so like, yeah, go ahead.
you have to hit like check me for it to save, I believe.
Yeah, I was, and then I think even I just go to a random chapter or something like that, and it. Oh yeah, it just says you attempted 1 of 5, but I definitely did this. So
Okay. That's weird. That's weird. Maybe it didn't maybe we're disconnected for the internet briefly or something like that. But like these
yeah,
are
okay.
for all these are like interaction based. So, and if something happens, like, again, don't really worry about it too much.
And then one last thing. So I know this isn't a problem that I'm actually being assigned, but if I were to run this, what exactly is going on here where it says 2.75/n? What is the /n?
That is new line. /n is a new line, which is what you'd get with a print statement. So what it wants is just 2. So actually for this one, for number 6, you would want to do, and we'll go into this next week, you'll want to do C is equal to X divide Y. And that does a different type of division.
Oh, okay.
Because there's 2 types of division, which is regular plain old division and integer division.
Oh, that's what this means then. Okay.
Yeah, integer division is 4th grade math, where we don't care, where decimal points are a complete and total lie.
I understand. Okay, that makes sense.
It's actually the default way that other programming languages work. Python 3.0 was like, that's unintuitive to incoming students, that the default, would not be the decimal one. So, okay, so I think I can go ahead and probably close the breakout rooms at this point. So,
And I'll just redo a bunch of the stuff. Won't take that long. Okay, thank you.
no worries. Whenever I'm in a breakout room, I have to be super careful that I don't accidentally hit the leave meeting or end meeting button instead, because those are like the top 2 listed, as opposed to and leave breakout rooms at the bottom. So I'm like, wait, no, don't click on that one. Just warning you, that's a possibility that might happen at some point in the semester. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't, let's see, we're still waiting for people to join back. So give it 18 seconds according to this, and then, but hopefully that wasn't too traumatic for everybody. All right. So the idea here, and if you got stuck on 5, don't worry, I had other people ask me questions about that. So, and again, if you're having trouble logging into Runestone, by the way, because like your account already, yes, you're going to be learning how to program in general in the lab. This is later stuff. This is more to show you how, and I'll explain what we were doing here. We were doing something called function calls, or where basically we were changing the code to call different functions, but we're going to eventually learn how to program and do some of this stuff in the projects that we do in class. The labs will be dedicated a lot of the time towards working on your fundamentals. I try to make it more entertaining than the typical class by using a teaching tool called Turtles, which is a paradigm that was invented, I think, possibly 80 years ago at this point for a programming language called Logos. That was intended to teach children how to program. Yeah, Turtle. Turtle, what it is that basically it's a graphical way of interacting with a canvas that says you're viewing a turtle from a top-down direction and telling it where to move, and it's dragging a little paintbrush across the screen. So it's a very kind of intuitive way to understand that. But right now we're just doing some image processing. So let me go back to my, and again, if you're having account issues, stay behind after class if you can, or send me an email if you can. Because we will be, and then I will resolve that. I will reset your password for you. Okay, so screen one. Everybody can see my screen. So can everybody see my? Okay. Yep. Great. And now let me open up the chat so I can move it down into the other screen. It's the only reason I have a funky laptop is so that I can broadcast and have everything else in a different screen. Okay. So hopefully you were able to figure this out, basically changing these processes. So what was process one, by the way? So let's go through this. What was process one? Process one, feel free to pipe right in. What was that? Oh, and by the way, if you, yep, in vignette effect. And what we can do is that we can instantly hit check me. It doesn't really matter how many times we do this. So if you got it wrong, it's not like permanently wrong. You just have to fix it. This one is, oh, what was that? So process.
Clear down?
Yeah, that seems right. That seems right. And then process three was the
grayscale.
Yep, turns it into a grayscale image, which kind of just averages it out and makes all what gray is that's an equal amount of red, green, and blue in this case. So, and we can see that with the code over here. Let's see. Well, maybe we can see it. Is that it gets these three values, it adds those three and it averages them out. See, it says the red value plus the green value plus the blue value divided by 3. And then it sets all of them to be the same thing. So process 3 is grayscale. And I know process 5, I'll get to that in a second because I know people got stuck in that. So 4, what was process 4? 4 was rotate by 90 degrees. Okay, now 5 was interesting because it required you to do 2 arguments. So it wanted an image and it wanted some kind of number. In this case, it wanted actually an integer, right? So if I give it 2, right? 2 positional, but oh, right, and I forgot to change this to 5. There we go. And there we go. We've rotated our squirrel image by multiples of 90 degrees. Okay, so 5. Check me. Number 6, I bet, is the scaling. I can just kind of guess that that's scaling because it takes an X and Y. And then if we remember our demonic squirrel, I kind of already know what that is from 10, which is, if we notice, it's just got a little bit of green and blue and red over here. And so says it only converts to only black, red, white, blue, and green. So, and then process, and then number 9. For process 6, can you explain what the two numbers are? Yes, I will do that in a second. So, so what is this one for process 9? I would guess darkens the image. And then check me. And then lighten, and then so let's see what 7 is. And then I will go back over 6. So 7 tells me that we've got converts high to low, and then by process of elimination, that has to go there. Okay, so let's go now back to process 6, which required 2 numbers, an X and a Y. So we pass in so we can pass in what? Let's go with 2 and 2. So let's see what that does. It made the squirrel extra big. So over here is the scaling. So X and Y here are scaling factors. In other words, it's saying make it twice as big in one direction and twice as big in the other direction. So here I'm going to go 1 and 2. See what it does. And we get a really stretched out squirrel. So now here is so we've done quite a bit of this for today. So let's go ahead and have fun. So you can take what one function does and pass it into the other. So you can say, do process 1 on process 4, my image. But I mean, like, that looks really scary at this point because you're just starting out. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So process 1 was add a vignette effect. Process 4 was, let's see, process 4 was rotate by 90 degrees. So what this is saying is do process 1 and store the result in here. Then process 4 stores the result in here. So first, let's talk a bit about this over here, which you know as the equal sign, and which I will say as equals, but really it's not. So this is one of the important things in computer science, which really differs from math, okay? Which is that this is called the assignment operator. What this does is that it says, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, it says there's a thing on the left and there's a thing on the right. Take the thing on the right and store it inside the variable on the left. So here I'm creating a variable I'm calling original. And I'm taking what's on the right and I'm storing it in original. So a couple things about variables in Python, and we're going to learn more about this in the videos for next week. Okay, be sure to watch those. Variables are way less confusing in Python and in any programming language, because in math, your variables are like X, Y, and Z, and you have no idea what they are, and you can't remember which is which. It's terrible. Here we can actually give them names. Yeah, exactly, like Y and f of X. Although here, Y is your variable, f of X is a function, but yes. But this is an assignment operator, an equal sign. The equal sign is an assignment operator. It says take this on the right and store it in the left. Okay, and yes, Amul, that's correct. Yes, you can. So that's the big thing, is that you can change these things' values multiple times, which we'll get into because we're doing an assignment operator. as opposed to an equality sign. So that's like one of the first mental hurdles. This is not an equals operator. Anytime you see this, mentally remind yourself that what you're actually seeing is more like this arrow. Okay, so why don't I use an arrow like this? Well, because I could misread this as X is less than or equal to -4, right? Suppose I'm trying to say X gets the value, we store the value 4 in X, right? It's easy to misread this as X is less than -4, right? Okay, maybe if I did this, well, no, I'm still stuck because that's less than or equal to 4. Some programming languages decided, fine, I'm going to create a new funky symbol, which is colon equals, which we affectionately sometimes refer to as the Walrus Operator, because it's got tusks and eyes. But essentially that was, that is kind of like one of the, you see this in some older programming languages to say, this is how we make, we say 4 is stored inside of X. But people are lazy because why type 2 symbols when you could just type 1? So basically C kind of solidified that anytime we want to set a value, we want to store a value, we are going to use the equal operator. What is the function of X in the code here? Nothing, it's an example, literally that. All I'm doing is saying that X is getting that value. That's literally all I'm doing. Right now, over the first couple of weeks, we're essentially going to learn how to use Python as an extremely powerful calculator, which you could probably use in a bunch of your other classes, but it's going to be bringing a nuke to a knife fight at that point. So, let's see. So let's now. Okay. So now with that aside taken care of, what we're going to say over here is that we've got this yawning squirrel image. And by the way, we could have changed that into another, we could have changed that into Luther Bell picture at any point. So I'm going to do this instead. So first we're going to apply process 1 to it. Yes, we're going to be learning a lot of the math stuff in the next week and variables. This week is dedicated towards making sure you can actually learn all that stuff by making sure you have a computer, making sure you have Python installed on your computer, making sure that you can execute Python code on your computer. It seems weird that we do a week on this, but it's also a function of the fact that our labs are split up like the way they are. And also because people join and leave in the first week a lot. So here, save and run. And you'll see what just happened is that we took process 1 on the original picture, and that gave us this output. Then we took that output and then applied process 4, which was the rotation on it, to get a final output. And then let me do, and so I can add another one onto this, like really final. Here I'm just creating a new variable, and I'm going to say process no, not original, final. Which one do I want to process? Let's do 10, which is the black, red, white, and green, and blue. And then I will just simply change this to really final over here and really final over here, because, and then over here, because I'm just changing what the last one is. And so now I'm applying another effect here. So rotate, and there we go. So you can just see, you can, yeah, it's a cursed image, definitely.
So what's the difference between like a step and then final? Like I'm just looking at what's in the parentheses.
This is just what we called it. step 1. If I wanted to be real, if I wanted to be more exact, I would have probably said this should be step 2. So that's another thing.
Okay.
Variables are what you name them, which is kind of, so in other words, the organization the organization is sorry, whatever organization you have is the organization you provide. If that makes sense.
So is the what's in the parentheses on like lines 3, 4, and 5?
Yes.
Is that like in reference to the line above then? So it's like so process 4 does process 4 to step 1.
I mean, it does it because that's what I told it to do. So it's this output, right? Okay.
Okay.
And then I could have done this on original, but I would have lost everything I did on step 1. If that makes
Okay, so if you wrote, so on line 5, if you wrote step 1 as well in that parentheses, what would it happen? Would it just like lose all of step 2 and just do what, and just affect what it did to step 1?
Essentially, yeah, because original, what we're doing, what these processes do is that they're not changing the image, okay? Even though it seems like it. What they're doing is that they're making a new image.
Gotcha.
Right? That's that's not necessarily obvious if you're just looking at it, but I mean, like, you don't want to change it because if you want to use it later and experiment on it later. Is there a way for the user to input a number and then that process executes? Yes, that you'll probably know how to do that in a couple of weeks, but what you would do, the easiest way for you to do that with the skills that you would have is that you would basically ask the user for an input using the input. Yeah, you can leave a few minutes early. That's fine. You can have an input like that, right? And what input does is that it asks the user for this. Okay. And then they right, you could ask the user like, now this isn't going to work because I'm not going to write the whole thing and like it's got all this code over here that's got to run first, right? But the idea here is you could ask them, they could tell you, and then you could say, hey, if selection equals 1, right, you'll want to do process 1. Notice that we have 2 equals over here. This will go into something next week. That's also not the equality operator, but it's close. Well, technically it is the equality operator. But it's not the same as the math equal sign. This is checking, it's asking, are these 2 things equal? And in fact, I wrote it wrong. It would technically be this, which is, again, there's a lot being introduced into here that you wouldn't necessarily know because got to understand what the difference between various variable types are. Various variables. Okay. Yeah, it's a logical comparison. It's saying, are these 2 things equal? So, okay. So on your side, go ahead and take a couple minutes to play and experiment with this. So, and running the code and experimenting on it will check you off for the completion on that. And also be sure to fill out the survey here, which is how this feels. Okay. Because and once you've interacted with everything, you'll get full credit on this. And then I'm going to be happy to answer any kind of questions you may have on this assignment as well as with your textbook. I also kind of want to talk about what we're going to be looking at in the kind of give you more of a preview of what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. So stick around if you can until the end of class. Yeah.
It says I completed 9 out of 10, but I don't know what that one that I didn't complete was.
That is an excellent question. So did you get all, you got all the ones at the bottom, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you hit run? Oh, did you hit run on everything?
Yeah, if you don't hit run on everything.
You might have to hit, you might have to go to, you might have to go to this one, which is all hidden above the pictures, hit show code and hit save and run. See if that fixes it. I'm guessing by the silence that people are trying it.
It worked for me.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. I feel so smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, once you hit mark, once everything is done over here, once this bar is filled, you can just mark it as completed, just to mark it off for yourself. When I run my grader, it's going to check to make sure that all the activities are done. So this one is primarily being checked for completions, if that makes sense. Okay. So while that is going on, let me show you what I mean about some other things we'll be seeing later. So one of the reasons I chose this textbook specifically is because of its integrated abilities to do stuff such as that image processing, as well as what we'll see is turtles, which are things that we can draw with. So here I've got the ability to move this turtle around. And this is pretty cool, and you can experiment with this on your own if you want to try it. It might be, I'm not sure if it will check off in the project menu, but I mean, let me go click on fall 20. Yeah, it's probably not going to check off over here. But when I run the grader, you'll get a grade in your grade book for it. So this is not something that a lot of web-based IDEs can do, which is really cool. So over here, we see something called import. So let me talk about that for a second, and I'll discuss it again multiple times. But when you import something, that means that we are basically, when we run a program, we just kind of run it with the minimal needs. Like, for instance, the programs you're going to be writing this semester, you don't need any of the server code or anything that talks to the internet. Okay. So we don't load that so that we can keep the program nice and small and memory efficient. So rather than loading everything, we just simply say if we need specific things like turtle graphics, we load it over here by saying import turtle. Now over here, we are using a bit of a magic word over here, which is my turtle is turtle.turtle, and that's lowercase and capital. For right now, for the next couple of weeks, just please just trust me when I say it's magic words and don't necessarily do that. So let's see. When you get the chance, can you explain this? So let me just take a look at this call for help. Okay, so this over here, this is, I ran the grader before the semester began because I was experimenting with something. That experiment was terrible and I abandoned it, but when I run the grader for an assignment, the score me button disappears. When I rerun the grader, which I can do like right now, actually, nothing's stopping me from doing that right now, it will give you some code. Actually, the reason I'm not going to do it right now is because I don't want to expose usernames. So there we go. But don't worry, zero and a bunch of check marks means it's okay. You'll get your
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
So over here, this is the magic word and it creates the turtle for the screen. Let's go ahead and I can just delete these. No, I will get to that in just a second. And my turtle is green. And so over here, we see that this creates a turtle. And so we can give this turtle command, and this actually makes it very easy to kind of learn our program because I just gave it a command and it did what I said, which is always a very satisfying kind of thing. Right? I can tell it to move 100. Guess what those values are, by the way? It is kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. That value is the number of pixels, by the way. Yep, very good. All right, so somebody asked about the readings over here. So, so there are some annoyances with this textbook. I assume that most of you will put up with them because it's not something you have to pay for. So anyway, one of the nuisances is that because there's a bunch of contributed exercises, a bunch of people just for some reason put those contributed exercises at the end of chapter 1. Right. So when you are going through the assignments and going through the exercise, so no, you don't have to do that. What you have to do is you go to assignments and you just simply click on the readings and just simply go through only the readings that I have listed. Okay. And the only exercises you have to do are the ones that are there. Yeah, if you do a quiz on Runestone, it will eventually make its way, it will eventually migrate on its way to Canvas. I will do the first migration after the first quiz. So the first quiz will probably be done on Runestone, just like any other. And it will be next week. You'll probably have until not this upcoming Sunday. Give me a second. So you'll probably have until September, and basically it's a take on your own recognizance kind of thing. You'll have until September 5th to take it. It's to kind of just give you an idea of what kind of what to expect on the quizzes.
And does that mean that by September 5th, we should have all the activities from this chapter done as well?
So for this chapter, you'll see that these already have due dates.
Oh, okay.
So, for the other stuff, I will be that. Yeah, if we finish the activity during class, you're going to get full credit for it. Yes. And
for some,
and in case you're like super paranoid about this, one of the reasons I love Runestone is because I do get actually a interaction history. So every time you interact with a question on your while you're logged in, it will log it. And so for some reason, like your codes aren't, you know, like it's not giving you credit for a reading or something, I can literally go in and see if you've been logged in or something. And
for some reason, when I look at my chapter 1 readings and my chapter 1 exercises, even though I finished both of them, it still says I haven't started it.
I don't know why that is.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. So I've never seen that before this semester. So
okay, thanks.
Sorry, one last question. Where can I'm having a hard time finding that page where it says like chapter 1 readings, chapter 1 exercises, and amount completed.
Excellent question. Click on the person icon up here.
Okay.
Assignments.
Assignments. Great. All right. Thank you.
If you can't find those, by the way, the other place you can get to them is that I'll always try to link them over here. I'll always try to link them here on the Canvas page, and you can click on it and it will take you directly to it. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. So I think that's really all I have for you for class today. So it was just basically to make sure that we could get this done, that we could get this first lecture done, that everybody could get, you know, get through this one. It's really just to make sure that you guys are going to be ready for the coding we are going to do next week, which is going to be not, I mean, it's not going to be, it's going to be more actual real coding. So the first quiz will be about variables and the like. So it's going to primarily reflect off of the stuff you're going to be learning during week 2. I will discuss it more on Tuesday. Okay, so with regards to week 2, I will post the lab. Be sure to watch these videos by Tuesday. And then I will be changing the due dates over here. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Also, I know it's going to be hard for you not to, but I'm going to say it anyway. Don't panic about the quiz. Really, don't panic. So you will open the quiz. I'll figure out the quiz in a bit. So
Professor, I was trying to access the office hours page for the TAs and half on Canvas, and half of it was kind of cut off, so I couldn't even see the hours.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, on the right hand side.
So, okay, so let me go ahead and just share this. So which page were you talking about? The Canvas page or?
Yeah, the Canvas.
Like down
office
here?
hours. No, if you scroll up, like when I was trying to look for it, like the right hand side was like cut off.
I have no idea why that might be, but what you can do is you can always click on this link to pop it up in a different window.
Okay, great, thank you.
And all this, and all we have over here is that I just found a way to embed this so that you don't have to do that if you don't need to.
Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea of the schedule and, with mine and, who I could, fit in with my schedule.
Okay, yeah. And again, if nothing works, again, this goes to everybody. If there's no time that works for your schedule, these are just simply the times I have set aside. It's not the only times I'm available to meet. So just send me an email.
Thank you.
Okay.